Thank you. Now, how do we solve problems with design? Okay. Sorry, let me calm down. Does everybody understand like everything I've been saying so far?
Yes, perfectly.
All right. Any other person? Okay, I'll just go on. All right, thank you.
Yes, I do.
Okay. So, how do we solve problems with design? Okay. Solving problems with design is achieved by what we call design thinking. Okay, which according to IDEO's president is to translate observations and insights into products and services that improve lives. Okay, part of the things we aim to do in this boot camp is to make or is to help kickstart your career to become a good designer, a good UI UX designer. And for you to be a good UI UX designer, you're not just going to fine interfaces or fine applications and all of that, but you also design applications that actually solve problems for people. Okay, to be a UI UX designer, you have to be user focused. You have to realize and remember at all times that okay, this thing that I'm designing is not for me, it's for users, and users can be anybody. Okay, it could be from little children to adults to old people. So you have to always bear in mind that you're not just designing for yourself, or maybe you're not designing for yourself. Okay, you're designing for people. You have to be user. Why I'm saying this is because in design thinking and solving problems with design, we are trying to solve problems for users, and then you need to understand your user base, like your user groups and all of that, to be able to solve particular problems for them. I hope I made sense. Nobody's confused.
No,
All right.
I'm not.
Thank you. Okay. So the goal of design thinking is to provide solutions to problems, which in turn improve lives. Okay. Please, the next slide. All right. So now this design thinking, okay, in design and UI UX design, is basically achieved by something we call a design thinking process. Okay. Now, this design thinking process is not just limited to applications and interfaces. It's in every aspect of our lives. Okay. Even in our everyday lives, we have all done or undertaken this design thinking process. Okay. The design thinking process is made up of five important parts. Now, those five important parts are empathizing, defining, ideating, prototyping, and testing. Okay, I'm going to explain what this means in little details. Okay, so empathizing now, when you want to start designing something, okay, you empathize with the problem. First of all, we have said design is to solve a problem, right? So I'm going to use a scenario, okay, where we apply this design thinking process so it can be easier for everybody to understand and follow. When we went on lockdown, okay, people still needed to work, people still needed to attend meetings, and people still needed to make money. All right. Situation where people cannot go to offices and they couldn't they couldn't go to offices, they couldn't have human interaction because of the whole COVID and all of that. There needed to be something put in place for people to still communicate. And so, for that purpose, okay, a group of people sat down and thought about what like this is a problem, okay. we need to be able to communicate with our coworkers. We need to continue to be able to work. And how do we do this? Okay. So first of all, they probably put themselves in people's shoes. How am I going to communicate with people in contact with anybody? Okay. So in doing that, you are empathizing with your users. Okay. So while this empathy stage is a stage where you identify with the problem to provide a solution to. Okay, there's a problem, you're trying to identify with the problem, see ways that identify with the problem. Let me not encroach into defining the problem. Okay, so you're identifying with the problem, you know that okay, now there's no way for us to communicate. How do we communicate? How do we pass across information? How do we still achieve tasks and all of that? Okay, first of all, after empathizing with the problem, you then define the problem. Okay, so defining the problem is stating. Okay, most times when we are doing case studies, okay, we have what we call problem statement. So in your problem statement, you then state that okay, see, we need to be able to communicate. There is no means for us to be able to communicate with people because of the situation around us. How do we go about it? Fine, you have defined the problem. Problem is you need a means of communication, a scenario where you cannot interact with people physically. Okay, so after defining your problem, you then ideate. Ideation here is the process where you come up with ideas. Okay, it's the process where you come up with ideas on how to solve a particular problem. In the empathizing and defining, so in the empathizing stage, okay, you must have carried out what we call user research. Okay, this user research is done by, there are various ways of doing user research. Okay, so in this, the point of user research is to know, okay, solve this problem, how people like you to solve this problem, so you don't end up building or designing something that is not useful to people. Okay, we see how very simple Google Meet is or Zoom is. All you need is a link. Okay, you won't go and design an application that probably is going to be very stressful to people, for people to use rather. So in empathizing with the problem, okay, I forgot to mention that you actually carry out user research, and from the user research and the feedback you have gotten, it will help you to make informed decisions when ideating the problem. Okay, so in this ideating phase, you will now say, okay, sorry, following our story where people don't have means to communicate. In the ideating phase, an idea can come up that, okay, somebody can suggest we can screen everybody to come to a particular area and, make sure that they are COVID free, they take all the security measures and all of that, and then and inform solutions to the particular problem. So after suggesting or coming up with a solution to the problem, you then prototype. This prototyping phase is where we talk about user interface. Okay, so in the prototyping phase, you first of all carry out or you do sketches. Okay, after sketching, you go on to do low fidelity wireframes, and after go on to okay. So this is where visual design is seen mostly or predominantly. Although there's still a bit of UX in the prototyping phase, because even as a user interface designer, there are little UX tips that you need to know. For example, you won't make an end call button blue. It has to be red because red gives a feeling of danger, sort of. So you have to know that okay, I can't use blue for an end call button, or I can't use a particular color for a particular thing, or the font. Imagine if the meeting link was just very big and covering the whole screen. Okay, so all those things are also little UX tips that you need to know as a user interface designer, which we see mostly in the prototyping phase. Okay. So after prototyping, you send your solution, okay, to um sorry. Okay. After prototyping, you have to test your solutions with people. Okay. Sometimes people can do very, very, very nice prototyping. Okay. This prototyping that I mean now is how will I put it? Okay. You've designed something that's visually, you use visual elements to create a particular interface. Okay. So after creating those interfaces, you make that interface interactive that people can interact with. Now, when there some people are very good at this, they will create it in such a way that you don't even need to develop, you don't need to write codes and all of that, but you can still, present it to users to be able to test out what you've done. Okay, the purpose of testing, like I said earlier, is for you to know if this thing that we have gone through this process to build, if it is good enough, okay, for people. Remember, you're not building for yourself, you're building for people. Okay, so you have to carry out testing after your prototyping to know that, okay, this thing that I have designed and built is good enough for people to use. So after that, if probably from your testing you see that, okay, it's very easy for people to accomplish tasks, or people are having difficulties in accomplishing a particular task. For example, task can be, okay, let somebody, you've created a platform, you want somebody to sign up. Okay, you note how they are able to sign up. You note if, like, at any stage in the sign up process where they are tired and they're like, I beg, this form is too long, I beg, I'm not feeling again, those kind of things. Okay, they will help you to those kind of people will now help you to go back and know what you've done. So if from the testing phase you get positive feedback, you can go ahead to ship it if the product is developed, or you can develop it and ship it. But if the feedback you're getting is not probably what you want, you now go back and iterate. You go back to the ideate phase and then bring about more solutions or better solutions, then prototype and test. And you probably will keep going till you get a very defined solution and a very useful solution. I hope everybody understands what I have said.
Hi, I have a question.
Okay, can ask.
The processes of design, and you did not elaborate or talk about user personas. You kind of, I don't know if it's a process or if you are going to come to it in the end, but the research stage, I thought there was supposed to be, after the problem statement and everything, there would be a research carried out, and then there would be user personas, so we know exactly who we're building for and who would need what we're building. I was waiting for you to explain a bit about that, but you didn't. And I have another question. When you were talking about prototyping, were you referring to wireframing, or you were referring to something? You
All
talked
right,
about
thank you.
the okay.
All right, thank you very much. Does anybody have any other question so I can address all at once?
Okay, I joined a kind of late, and I just joined now. I know it's my fault, but the basics, like everything looks like I don't understand what everything is all about. Sorry.
Okay. You can go to the YouTube link. You follow the call from the beginning. Continue from there. Like I said earlier, we are having a 3 week camp, okay? I can't possibly talk about or touch every aspect in this call. This is just the basics. Remember. So definitely we would get to the user personas phase. This is just me explaining the design thinking process to you. I haven't explained everything in detail, in complete detail. I just try to touch it so that we can all have an idea of what it is before we continue in our class after this meeting. And also, for your second question, the prototyping, like I said, this is where the visual interface comes in. The prototyping starts from sketching, that is sketching on paper, or sketching on paper with paper and pencil, okay? Then doing low fidelity wireframes, to doing high fidelity wireframes, to the actual prototyping where you make the high fidelity wireframes or mock-up interactive for people to use. So the prototype is covering everything concerning visual interface. All right, thank you very much. All right, Tammy, please can we go to the next slide?
Please, I have a little question. One.
Shoot.
Okay, does these designs and everything does it limit only to laptop, like using laptop? Like for somebody that don't have a laptop currently, is there any alternative like using your smartphone or something else?
All right. If you don't mind, please, I'll answer this particular question. I'll answer it at the end of the class. Okay.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you. All right. So now that we understand what design is and the design thinking process, and we know how we can solve problems with design, I would now tell us how we can begin our journeys as UI UX designers. Please forgive my typo. All right, please, can go to the next slide. All right, so yeah, steps that can be taken for us to become UI UX designers. How do we begin our UI UX design career? Okay, I would like to note, however, that there is no defined rule. Like what I'm suggesting here is not a hard and fast rule for us to follow to become UI UX designers. That if you not follow these things I have put, or maybe do not follow them in the chronological order or something, that you won't be a good UI UX designer. No, these things are just steps that can be taken, tips that can be taken, things that have helped me, or things that I did rather become a UI UX designer. Okay, I didn't go to any design school. I didn't. Some people have like degrees in human centered designs. Okay, which also is very relevant. If you can go to school for design, it's perfectly okay. But even if you don't go to school, that's the beautiful thing about tech. You can also become a UI UX designer. So the first step I would mention is to register for design classes. Okay, what I mean by register for design classes is it must not necessarily be a how will I put it, a virtual class. I don't know how to exactly explain myself at the moment, but register for design classes. Okay, I'm just going to continue reading this slide. It could be a course. Okay, it could be a boot camp like we are organizing. What I was trying to say earlier is that it must not be something that they give you a certificate gone before you agree that okay, I've been trained as a UI UX designer. It could be anything little from a little course, okay, from boot camps like this that we have organized, okay, to any free webinar you can see on LinkedIn and all of that, okay. Then I would also advise that you watch and replicate thousands of amazing designs, okay, to improve your visual interface. To improve your visual skills rather. So if you are just beginning like me, okay, you can at the moment go to Dribble or Behance or Mobbing and try to replicate their designs so that you can learn about how to use visual elements to bring about good designs. Okay, so when I initially started, I did not have any proper guidance at Like I didn't have any proper guide. So most of the times, what I did was to literally copy people's designs, and from copying designs, I learned how to use text. I learned how to use fonts. I learned the particular size of text that particular size of fonts that you will use for a particular site or a particular section of the website. I learned how to use typefaces and all of that. So I am a strong believer of replicating design. Some other people will tell you not to do it, but personally, it works for me. It helps to build your visual skill. Today, if you ask me to probably design a website, I can do it without looking at any other person's design, because I've already built my visual skill to a level that, okay, I know that if I'm doing this particular thing, these are the sort of things I expected to be there. Okay? Now do this, after you finish replicating designs, you can then send it to designers you know and ask for their feedback. Okay, you can, like, throughout the process of our bootcamp, you're going to actually review the designs and know what we can do better. So the essence of feedback is to know what you can probably do better and what you did that was good, so you can not continue. And also another thing is you should be open to criticism. Yeah. So when asking for feedback, it's not all feedback that will be positive, and it's not everybody that really knows how to give feedback. Some people's feedback can hurt, but you should know how to, lock up and like put in the work so that you can be better. All right. Then another important thing is to read design articles. Okay, there are thousands of amazing design articles on Medium, and there are a lot of blogs too that have amazing articles too. So I will drop the links to the places. I'll drop the links to the blogs and articles and all of that in the group chats so that you can have access to them. And then books too. I will drop the links to the books. And also another thing I forgot
Sorry,
to include. Okay.
I'm not in the group chat. Somebody actually sent the link, so maybe you should just add me or send me the link, please.
All right. You drop your. Don't worry. After the class, I would send a message on the popular. Or I will ask the group admin to send the link to the. Yes, he has just sent the link to the group chat. Okay. So something I forgot to include here is to register. Sorry, is to use YouTube to learn. Okay, YouTube is an amazing tool. Like, God bless people that build YouTube. So there are lots of ways you can use YouTube to learn. You can use it to learn UX. You can use it to learn UI also. For example, some people that are new here that don't really know how to use the design software, and there are people whose channel is focused on design. That's the complete process of design, from thinking to the user experience to the interface and all of that. So I would also drop the links. Sorry, I'll drop their names, and if I can get the links, I'll drop the links to their YouTube channel in the group chat. And like I said earlier, you can attend online webinars. Something to note also is that you never stop learning in UI UX. Okay, what you think you know is like a drop in a very big ocean. There's like so much to learn every time. So after doing all these steps that I listed, you should also and always continually continually search for designs, because this year we've had a trend of a lot, like we've had trends of designs come and go, and you would not want someone to hire you and then you're producing designs that were brought out in 2003. Obviously not. So you will still continue to take these steps. Okay, that's why I listed this particular step, because there are things that you should constantly take, not just to become one, but to also stay as a UI UX designer. Okay, there are new books to read, there are new experiences that come out every day. So you should always be open to read books and what have you and what have you not. All right. Conversation. We will still have sorry, like I said, I will drop the things that I mentioned in the conversation or in the call. in the group chat. That's the links to the